accused men and women in our society. He was instrumental in organizing numerous buses departing from 2 locations in the city to support the Gina 6 March in Gina, Louisiana. In addition, the chapter was honored for organizing the most buses to the March on Washington in 2007 by national headquarters and radio personality Tom Joyner. Leading up to the March on Washington, CNN recognized him as one of the nation's most fiery young civil rights leaders in an interview which aired during the march on November 16, 2007. While holding key vigils instantly following the Katherine Johnston shooting, which led to the early national exposure, Marcus also brought the mother of Janarla Wilson to meet with Reverend Al Sharpton, which was the tipping point in ultimately freeing him. Most recently, he organized the 25 City Jobs and Justice Rally for the city of Atlanta and the 3rd and 4th annual toy giveaways. During his presidency, the chapter was a visible force in the community by providing food and clothing drives, clothing/toiletry drives, twice every month, plus hosting youth basketball tournaments. In doing so, NAN Atlanta bridged the ever-widening gap between community civil rights organizations, grassroots activists, and racists. Marcus continues his journey by sharing his experiences through speaking around the country at schools, to at-risk, what they call at-risk, should have been in quotes, as well as churches and prison halfway houses. Coaching youth athletics, which is a deep, deep passion, through baseball and football is another vessel Marcus uses to instill in today's youth the importance of being a leader in life as well as on the field. As a father of 2 boys, husband and entrepreneur, Marcus plans to impact the lives of families, by assisting those who are in need throughout the country. Marcus Coleman's motto is balancing the scale of justice, which he vigorously applies day to day. Correction on something that Leonard said. This is not an attack on Leonard. Founding the organization in 2006, 2-year term wasn't implemented until 2008, so there has been a president to fulfill a term because the term was implemented once I departed. Let's just get that cleared up. And that's not an attack. I mean, I'm very personal because I feel like this is my baby. Everyone here who knows me, I don't think would argue that. But my baby is not a selfish viewpoint because I'm very much a part of the movement. I would like to take the time to first acknowledge the, highest ranking member of National Action Network here, which would be Damon Bondman. And the reason I do so is because I want this to be known. It's been a long journey, and I appreciate out of this world for Reverend Sharpton to give me the opportunity to be before you guys again. So if you could slip that to Rev, that would be great. Listen, there's no secret. NAN Atlanta has had its ups and its downs. You know, those of you who are here today definitely know that, and I'll speak up for those of you in the back. I'm not going to even go into what I know is the buzz with some, because there's a lot of mudslinging, and I appreciate Troya's position, because one thing me and Troya both made a promise to one another is that it would not be an ugly race. It is unfortunate that we're doing it, but it is what it is. And so there'll be no mudslinging. But I know that's a promise from me to her and her to I. It's been some mudslinging going on out in the public. And I'll just address it with this. We're all here for our community. We're all here because we like the tenacity of Reverend Al Sharpton. If my dedication is in question, then you need to call and speak to Reverend Al Sharpton, because he's the one that's allowed me to be before you today. I'll close that with that. There are people in this room, such as, I have to honor and give respect to Mr. Joe Beasley, who is in the back. And the reason I would like to honor Mr. Beasley, because again, this is not about me. One of the key pluses that I feel like I bring to the organization is, number one, I've been called a couple of little things. Baby Huey, Little Rev. Those are the good things. I won't say the bad things I've been called. But my tenacity is tremendous. The period of unjustness in my life. If you are a part of a civil rights organization, you're more than likely you've either had yourself go through something or a family member go through something. You know, you have experienced something firsthand either way, so you want to give back. without going into all of the details, but you're looking at an individual who spent at least 13 months in solitary confinement. I have been drugged through the gallows, so to speak. But I used that time to, when I came out, wanted to be a part of something. I didn't know what it was. I had no idea. I'll be honest. And I hate if members of these organizations are here, but I called the NAACP first because who do we all know? NAACP. Slow to respond. I'm a radical in that sense, so I called the New Black Panther Party. I'm so glad they didn't call me back. Not to slight them. I like those brothers. Everybody got to stay in their lane, but I'm a little more, I like a national impact, So after going to these various organizations, I wasn't blasting them. I'm not going to keep doing that. I used to listen to Reverend Al Sharpton on the radio show all the time. Did what was needed to do in order to start the process of starting this chapter. But one of the best things that I could have done was I flew my butt up to New York City and I had a meeting with Reverend Sharpton. At that point in time, I told him everything that I'm telling you now and 100 times more about my past, present, and what I thought my future would be. There's no secret. I've got love for Rev. I feel like me and Rev have a great personal relationship. That is one of the pluses that you get with me. I am from Atlanta. I'm not a Grady baby, but I was here since I was 1 year old. One of the problems that I see with this chapter is true leadership. One of the problems that I see with this chapter, this is a New York-founded, New York-based organization. But the Southeastern Regional Headquarters is in the city of Atlanta, home of Dr. King, home of the Civil Rights Movement. Now, Reverend Sharpton takes a lot of hits. People who don't like him say, you're not no Dr. King. Well, to me, he's the next best thing smoking. The next best thing smoking. So, but the problem that I see with leadership here, and Damon, please don't stab me. Leadership is strong. There is no reason, as long as we're following the rules and bylaws, as long as we're following the rules and bylaws and goals set forth by this organization, for us to call to New York to find out what to do in Atlanta. I'm going to say that one more time. There's no reason for people of leadership, unless it is against the rules and regulations. I am not for breaking rules. Right. But there is no reason for leadership to have to look to New York City to see what to do in this city, in this chapter. I'll give you an example. Or actually, I'll give you something that Reverend Sharpton preaches all the time. Every city is different. Every chapter is different. And that chapter has to set initiatives based on the need that is in their city. Now, we've had a couple of people that have come through here that have not been from this city. And that's okay too. I'm not saying you got to be born from the city that you're trying to have leadership in. But being from this city enables me to connect with veterans like Brother Joe Beasley. Being from this city enables me to cross all kind of boundaries. And not only am I from this city, I didn't come up as a politician or a pastor. That might seem like a slight to some, but it's an excellent plus to me. Because one of the other things that I bring to this chapter, there's not a room in this city or any other city for that matter that I'm not able to sit in and feel comfortable. Whether it's a political meeting, whether it's a grassroots, die-hard, some of the brothers that y'all might be scared of meeting, whether it's a meeting of the community of brothers who are drug dealers, pushers, and pimps. That's what I bring. Because if anybody of some age that is in here knows, the civil rights movement, it took all facets. All facets. Which brings me back to my point of why I chose National Action Network. Anybody who has the luxury to know Reverend Sharpton knows Reverend Sharpton is not just a master politician, master civil rights leader, but he's a master brother in the streets and in the hood. Some of y'all don't know that because sometimes, I hope I don't offend anybody, we've got a lot of uppity Negroes that think Reverend Sharpton is just that. He's way more than that. That's the reason why when he calls on a rally, everybody moves. That's the reason why when he calls on an initiative, everybody moves. But let me not speak too much on Reverend Sharpton. Y'all know about Reverend Sharpton. With myself, money is an issue about money being raised here in this chapter. To me, that's a no-brainer. I mean, do you really think it's that hard for people to give money to Reverend Al Sharpton's civil rights organization? No. Not at all. You know the reason why they hadn't been giving it? Because they don't see us. And not only do they not see us, like Leonard so eloquently put, leadership has had its lumps. And people are not going to give and support something that they feel like is unstable. I will echo what Troya said. People need to show up not just on election day. One of the biggest things that I feel like was the success in the past was we saw numbers. Those red t-shirts flooded marches, flooded rallies. You know, NAN's banners hung amongst everyone, actually drowned out everyone else. And this is not a slight on the NAACP, SCLC, Rainbow Push. But National Action Network is the hottest thing smoking. And let me tell you why. I mean, one name is simple, Reverend Sharpton, but it is what he does. It is his nationally syndicated radio show, Keeping It Real. And oh my goodness, why did they let him on TV with MSNBC? All we have to do, people, is come together as a family. Me and Troy say this all the time. You know, laughter is good. I don't like rooms where everybody is stern and sitting upright. If we push initiatives and agendas and come in numbers, Atlanta has always been, even with the exception of New York, has always been one of the premier chapters of this organization. It was a time on Reverend Sharpton's show, and I'm getting ready to wrap it up. It was a time on Reverend Sharpton's show when you couldn't take 2 callers without Atlanta being one of them. There was a time on Reverend Sharpton's show when he couldn't finish one sentence and he was saying Atlanta. You know, I took a lot of pride in that. You know, I'm 37 years of age. Everywhere I go, some of the older veterans, everybody knows here, let me speak on this real quick. Everybody knows Atlanta is a cliquish city. I'm going to say that one more time, Mr. Beasley. Everybody knows Atlanta is a cliquish city. You have to earn the respect. Sometimes it's not fair, but you got to earn the respect of those that are movers and shakers in this city. And that's already been done by me. That's already been done by me. There is not a stall in progress. When we have an idea, we implement it and we keep it moving. And it sounds good to Reverend Sharpton, and he magnifies it. Now, a president is not to do any and everything. To me, one of the key characteristics is to be able to delegate those who can do what needs to be done. But in order to do that, you got to have strong leadership. In order to do that, you got to have strong leadership. So I am so happy to be back before you guys. And vision, ironically. Yeah. And so, having said that, listen, you all, you know, most people probably already had their mind made up who they want to vote for before they came here anyway. You know, for those that are undecided, you know, I hope that you consider me. Again, this chapter, actually, the first meeting, I got to put some sympathy in on it. This chapter, the first meeting, was at my grandfather's home. It was a big reason why I left in 2008, for those who wondering. His passing, he raised me. You know, I've never met my biological father, so it was very personal to me. One of the reasons that this building sits in the historical West End district is so I could be close to my grandfather, who owned a lot of property in West End at the time. But I remember one thing that my grandfather told me, and I'll get ready to close. The first meeting, a lot of people, it was a buzz saying that my grandfather started the chapter. And if y'all wouldn't know my grandfather, he ain't. I mean, he's about that money, about the military, musician, about the money. He cared about his people, but he felt like it was too much mess with some of us. So, long story short, the first meeting, he had no idea. Reverend Al Sharpton announced the meeting and gave out his address over the national airwaves. And he looked at me and he said, "Boy, you gave that man my address." You know, but so it started in my home. we were able to do so many things in a 2-year period. I felt like it lost some of the momentum, and I'm really looking for your vote so we can keep it up, keep it moving, and put Atlanta back on the top where it's always been.
All right.